The quote for today disappeared from the screen. Sharon, can you bring that back? There's a big difference between sailing blindly and sailing consciously. When navigating blindly, we often do it with a desire to belong and or to please others. This new awakening is more than a cry of protest against customs, institutions, and established rules. It is a silent cry to awaken to our own true nature and being, our own humanity. Navigating the back and forth of life from the oneness perspective, we can flow and move from left to right, from down to up, always aware we are part of the whole, which is what we truly are. And that was written by Blanca Meja, or some such thing. I'm terrible with I'm terrible with certain spellings, or certain, like, Spanish names aren't in my wheelhouse, unfortunately. I'll learn. All right, well, I'm happy to be back. And today is, a little bit apropos when we think about all the things happening in the world around us. And so navigating this world at this time can feel a little bit challenged. There's a lot of people who are struggling with fear and worry, doubt, trying to figure out, what are we going to do? What's Trump going to do? What's happening in the US? What's happening in Canada? What's happening in politics? Well, I'm here to tell you, just let it all go. We have an opportunity to focus our attention on that which we have power in and over and with. And that is what's going on within us. We have no power over politics. We have no power over the news. We have no power over our neighbor or even our spouse or our children. Well, maybe a little bit of power where the children are concerned. What we have, though, is the ability to think, the ability to feel, the ability to live, and to navigate life with a sense of possibility and opportunity, to navigate life with a willingness to show up even in the hardest moments, and to know that everything is changing. Everything is changing. Nothing stays the same. Absolutely nothing. And when we come to that place of understanding that it's all going to change, that nothing's going to stay the same, that change is constant, it can feel a little scary. The world feels like, a sea of constant changing tides, but we have within us the power to navigate that. And there's a phrase I use often, which is, it is what it is, and we can't change what is. And what I mean by that is that whatever's happening in this now moment has been created from a previous moment, from a time before this. And so I can't change the moment, but I can change how I experience it, how I express it, how I live it, so that my next moment, the next thing I create, comes from a place of greater peace, harmony, love, and joy. I was thinking about when I was, a teenager and young adult, and all the things that were going on in the world at that time. There was a war in Vietnam. Well, some of you may not know that because you're young, and people were fighting against that in the US. And of course, everything that happens in the US seems to involve us in some way. And there was a growing movement of the hippies going, peace, love, peace, love, peace, love. And here we are today looking at a world that is divided still, and yet, and again, or however you want to look at it, we're back in that place of division, although I'm not so sure we ever left it. But again, it's erupted. And we're seeing people struggling with, what do I do? How do I do it? And I want to say, you have within you the power to be great. You have the power within you to live fully, completely as you are, not as anybody else, but as you are. You are this divine light, this incredible, powerful essence of the divine. And so whatever you need to do, whatever is necessary in your life, whatever is going to move you forward, you have within you everything necessary to make that happen. Yeah, you're powerful, powerful beyond belief. The ideas that we share here are ones that, when practiced, create a life change. And I know that firsthand, because when I found the Science Mind teaching, I was in the ditch, shall we say. I had probably hit rock bottom about that point, or at least one of the rock bottoms at that point. And the journey of coming out of that, and that's why I like that one song. It's like, sometimes we've got to move through hell to get to heaven. And I believe that that's sort of the journey that we walk, because that hell experience is us trying to find ourselves. It's trying to figure out who we are in the vastness of this divine universe. Who am I? And is it okay to be that? Is it okay to be who I am? Is it okay for me to push against the resistance of others around me? Is it okay to stand in my own power, my own sense of values, and the dreams that I have? Can I stand in my dreams and know that there is a way to make them reality? I think sometimes we're busy trying to please others. We're busy trying to make somebody around us happy. And I'm here to tell you, you cannot. Cannot. If a person's going to be happy, it's their choice. If a person's going to change something or accept you in a different way, their choice. But how you show up, your choice. Your choice. When I look at the world today, and it's funny, because when I was thinking about, the 60s and 70s, it's like right where we've always been, in the midst of some kind of turmoil or struggle. And I think if you look at your own life, you'll find that you're in and out of that all the time, that things are going really good, and then something happens, and there's an eruption that happens within us that goes, oh no, now what? But what if moving from fear to love is not about anything outside of us, but rather some sort of choice we make within ourselves to be the very best that we can be in this now moment, and recognizing that this moment is the only one that exists. Now is all there is. So how I live now matters. How I show up now matters. Can I be loving? Can I be accepting? Can I release my judgment, my criticism, my fear, doubt, and worry? Can I let that go for a moment? Just this now moment. And then in the next now moment, choose to release it again, and choose to release it again. And moment by moment, staying conscious to what really matters, to what really enlivens me. And as we stand in that place, as we open our minds and hearts and stand in this place of, oh, possibility, now what? Something beautiful is occurring. The world responds, the universe responds. It responds in kind, because the universe, God, spirit, whatever name you want to give to this vastness that we cannot comprehend, it only ever says yes to us. It says yes to our limitations. It says yes to our possibilities. So I invite you to live in your possibility, to open your mind, to imagine something beautiful, to open your minds and look at where you're struggling, and sit in it and go, oh, wow, how does this feel? I'd like to change this. Well, knowing that I can't change the moment, what I know is by thinking differently, I can create something new for my next moment, which that's where the change is. It's in the thinking a new reality, choosing a new direction, choosing to be that divine essence, living fully. When I watch little children, it's so fun, because they do the funnest, silliest things. And there was a little child. We were at the vet yesterday because our dog was not doing well, and so we're at the vet, and our dog has a muzzle on because she's not real fond of vets. And the this couple was walking around with their little one, probably around 2 years old, I would guess. And he was pointing at the dog and pointing at the muzzle, and he was saying something, but what he was saying, nobody could figure out. And you know, he's just like so curious, and he's pointing at the dog and he's repeating this and repeating this. And Pierre all of a sudden looks at him and goes, "That's exactly what I was saying." It just made me laugh, because we couldn't make any sense of what actually was being said, but trying to figure it out as adults will do. The journey that we're on, if we can return to that childlike experience, that childlike enthusiasm, you know, we sit in waiting rooms and ignore each other. A child sits in a waiting room and talks to people and walks around and touches things and explores their surroundings. We don't do that anymore. It's like we get to a place where I have to be proper, I have to behave, why? Why do we have to do those things? You know, when we think back to the hippie era, and I know there's been others, but that was the my late teenage years and into my early 20s, when we walk through that and we begin to decide to love instead of hate, to love instead of fear, to accept and honor and receive each other rather than pushing apart, we begin to open doors. We begin to open the doors to our heart space, which in kind opens the doors to others' heart space. And we begin to create a sense of connection and peace and love that can't happen any other way. It requires openness. It's about laying down our ego that says, I have to be perfect, I have to do it right, and everybody has to love me. Well, we may as well get over that, because not everybody's going to like us, and that's okay. And that's quite okay. So we want to open up. We want to expand our idea of life and living and begin to look at it as an adventure, as a possibility for something remarkable, to have the courage to stand where we are with conviction. I am the I am presence. Yeah, I am. Two most powerful words in the English dictionary, you know, I am. And that I am, when I own that in a positive and productive way, I begin to expand my experience and I begin to live in a greater sense of oneness. And that's kind of where we're headed. To begin to look at each other and see each other as family, to see each other as someone that is a part of me, a reflection of me. To begin to look around and touch the lives of others with joy and celebration rather than withholding. We sometimes withhold a lot, don't we? When we see people really living their free, wild self, we might feel a little bit uncomfortable because we won't allow ourselves to do that. But what if we did? What if we danced down the aisles of the grocery store? What if we sang on the top of our lungs, even when we're outside of our car? What if we chose to hug a stranger who was feeling down just because we could? What if? What if? Two interesting words, what if? You put those two together and somehow there seems to be a downward spiral that occurs. But what if we lifted? What if we moved up? What if? What if something truly beautiful and marvelous were to happen today? What if? What if my life has meaning? What if who I am is important, special, just like everybody else? What if? What if I saw that? What if that was so ingrained in my consciousness that every person I met them with love? And by love, I mean acceptance of who they are, where they are, and what it is they happen to be doing. Just love. We move beyond the emotions and restraints and constraints, and we begin to live in a place of awakened awareness, a place of possibility, and we start to gather together a group of people who can truly love one another, even if they don't like each other. Yeah, imagine. And we go through our lives with some boredom and some, we keep doing the same stuff over and over again, and we get a little bored. I'll tell you, I can tell you about boredom after the last 7 weeks of laying on my sofa doing the healing. Boredom was top of my list. I said to somebody yesterday that I think I've watched everything on Netflix, Crave, Prime, and my regular cable. Oh, and Disney. Watched it all because I couldn't do anything else. But in that boredom, sometimes we get a little stuck and we might feel less than. We might feel unimportant. We might feel sad or lonely. But what if instead we began to reach out? We began to look around us and really see the beauty that surrounds us in every moment. When I look out my window today, I see these beautiful, almost white piles of snow. They're a little dirty on top now, but when I see that, when it was falling so heavily last week, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So we can look at it any way we choose. If I look at it as beautiful, as, look at, it's exquisite. Every snowflake a little bit different. It's gorgeous. The crisp air. And I look out the window and I see that. And I go, wow, it's miraculous. But I can also look out the window and go, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is horrible. How am I going to get to work tomorrow? This is terrible. Oh, I'm going to have to shovel that driveway. Blah, 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 blah. Growl, growl, growl. Just choices. Choices. How I choose to see the world will determine how the world sees me. Yes. It's true. It's true. So let us begin to look at life from a new place and see if we can create some greater harmony and peacefulness. We live in a world of constant movement where life may feel like it's really moving in terrible ways. All the false information from, the internet and stuff can lead us to a real deep sense of fear and worry. And this mental image is powerful, but it's also changeable. See, we can look at the world around us and go, wow, this is a bump in the road, but I can navigate it because within me is this incredible power that is absolutely all powerful. And as I tap into that, ideas come, inspiration comes. And when I act on that inspiration, I find that I'm leveling out the ground around me, that it's not as bumpy as I once thought it was, like I'm finding a way through it or around it or whatever needs to happen. I find my way because I'm not resisting it. Remember, what we resist persists. I know that one well because I've had lots of resistance in my life over the years. But I'm noticing lately that I'm in a greater place of, just acceptance, peacefulness, more of a willingness to just let it be, whatever it is. I can't control the outcome of everything in the world for every person, but I can control my thinking, my feeling. I can control my journey. And it's not about controlling it. I guess it's more about living the truth of it, allowing myself to see who I am and to navigate that with a sense of real love and acceptance and to be present. So I want to have a mental image of possibility, one that is expansive and kind and loving and peaceful, kind of like the hippies did in the 60s and 70s, where they were all about, love, not war. Well, I can get on board with that. Love, not war. I can get on board with the idea of peace. Like, come on, let's be peaceful. In the science of mind, we know that that which we see around us, the world of effects, that really is something that's already been created, and that there is one divine cause, and that cause is the beginning of everything. And it's already complete and whole within itself, and it creates all things out of itself. That's the principle of oneness, that the universe is moving into form constantly. And what happens is it moves through us based on our thinking, based on the beliefs that we hold about who we are and what's happening in the world and what's happening around us. All of it is happening through us. And so when we look at that principle of oneness, we can navigate the back and forth, the up and down. We can center ourselves by pausing, taking a pause. Or we just take a moment to simply be. And in that being, notice who we really are and to live in that. So I invite you to, as you're journeying through whatever is going to happen over the next 4 years or 40 years or whatever, to come to a place of understanding that we have a choice about living blindly or moving consciously, creating consciously. And when we're navigating things blindly, we often are doing it because we want to belong or we want to please others. But those days are over. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. And anybody who's tried it knows that. And yet somehow we keep trying it. What was it? The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a new result. We've got to change it up. Got to change it up. Change is your best friend, believe me. So we want to come to this place of a new awakening, a place where we can open our hearts and minds and begin to act with courage and strength, to look at what we really believe is important, what matters truly to us. And from that place, to begin to live loudly and beautifully, and to create some great harmony. I am the I am. Can you say that with me? I am the I am. Yeah. So knowing that you're powerful and remarkable and special and unique, I invite you to be that, to share it in the world, to share it loud and proud, to really shine your light out there, no matter what anybody else thinks, because frankly, what they think has nothing to do with you. That is their journey of awakening, not yours. So be who you are. Take a moment to pause and breathe anytime you feel like a victim. Bad things are always happening to me. Take a pause and know that only good things happen to you. Reframe. When you let your nationality or your language or your color or anything physical define you, take a breath, take a pause. And go, no, I'm more than this. When you realize that you are the creator of your own life, take a pause. Take a breath. And channel the one source. Join with me in consciousness as we have a little moment of pause. I take a breath. I put a smile on my face. And I just know all is well. And as I take that in, I feel it in the very depths of my being. It permeates every cell, awakens within me a great desire. And at that moment, I open. All is well. All is well. And so it is.